No.
Of course we're going to handicap, right, and present all these games and everything because it's a brand new season, right? We're rolling with a brand new season, and on top of that, I think that we're going to have to.
Well, wait a minute. At first, when I seen what we had here,
yes,
I thought maybe it was a shot of bourbon to kind of get the show rolling today.
So it's a new season.
I would support that.
It's also a new season, and I can't think of a better way to start off the new season by consuming this fish oil. So we're going to have fish oil.
Grade A fish oil.
Grade A fish oil. Only on a Baldini's podcast can you get grade A fish oil.
Look, there's a line here.
Okay.
Right. So to our health to 2024.
Okay.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Okay.
A little lime first.
Okay. We're all game with this, I think. Oh, yeah. We're game with that. Oh, yeah.
Not that bad.
Oh, no. It's really good. A shot of that in the morning will keep you going. Grade
I
A.
kind of get like that same taste I get when I get an oyster. Kind of salty.
Now, again, this is all the great health stuff that it does for you.
Here's to having a better handicapping this year than last, thanks to this fish oil.
Okay, there you go.
Get the juices flowing, so to speak.
Again,
Literally.
only on a Baldini's podcast can you find us doing things like this. Okay.
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy Wike, the Bettor.
Welcome to a brand new season of the Bookie and Bettor, brought to you by all of our friends at the Book at Baldini's. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. I'm joined once again by my best friends, Nick Schulte.
Hey.
Randy Wike.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Happy New Year.
Here's to many fruitful moments together with you both. And obviously what we're here for. And for everybody listening in and watching in, thank you so much. Thank you for liking and subscribing. We've got so much content ahead of us for this year that I'm not going to really quite sure how to actually unpack it all. So the most important thing is we're going to start off with week number 18, a.k.a. preseason of the NFL week 3. Let's take a look by starting off with it. Before we even start talking about lines and odds set to all of these games, let's talk about the quarterbacks that have been confirmed starters for NFL team here in week number 18. Jake Browning, we already know that from Cincinnati. Easton Stick of the LA Chargers. Tyler Huntley is your quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. Nick Mullins, once again suiting up for the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Howell for Washington. Jeff Driscoll for the Cleveland Browns. Blaine Gabbert, Gabbert, Kansas City Chiefs starter in Week 18. And Sam Darnold for the San Francisco 49ers. So, Nick, we could go ahead and stop the discussion of MVP. That's already been wrapped up. That's going to Lamar Jackson. And I know, you could sigh, you can lament. It's all over.
5 touchdowns last week, obviously.
No, I hope. I look at the stats. Nothing to take away from the guys had a great season. I was always under the assumption that the MVP is really kind of more of a stat-based thing. And when I look at Lamar's stats, he's not even number one in a single category.
No, he's not.
But as far as dynamic player or game changer, 100%. And you take him out of the equation, Baltimore Ravens are nowhere near the team there today. So,
Rob, NFL record, 61 or 62 quarterbacks have started in the NFL this year. So I think with Driscoll now, I think it's 62.
Someone check on that. We actually are going to hire, if we haven't hired, a intern. Our intern's going to check up on that stat, of course. Yes. Of course we have an intern at the show, right?
We have our own fact checkers now?
Let's start, gentlemen, with the AFC. This, of course, what do we need to know? We need to know that there are some positions already locked up for the playoffs, some that are very, very dependent on the results of what happens this weekend. Much like any NFL season, nothing's ever wrapped up after 17 weeks, so this week matters even more. Obviously, the Ravens, number 1 in the AFC, they get the first round bye. Kansas City has the number 3 spot, and the Cleveland Browns have the number 5 spot. I say that surprisingly because everyone thought that this was going to be Deshaun Watson's season. Not only is it not Deshaun Watson's season, in the most improbable of ways, Joe Flacco has brought them to their playoff spot. So, yay, Joe. So what happens with positions number 2 and 4? Well, guys, let's start off with game number 1, of course, on our ticket. The Steelers, of course, need to win, and they need some help. Let's not get into the whole entire help thing. However, gentlemen, I want to start off with this one. It is the first game, and it's actually the first game of the weekend. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, as we talked about, this one is not going to feature MVP award winner. I say that prematurely, but I'm going to say it anyway. Lamar Jackson. Tyler Huntley, which, by the way, is a very good, I'm going to say maybe one of the best backups in the league. I'd be shocked if he doesn't start to look elsewhere. But, hey, you know what? When you're that good and you're in such a great spot, why not stick with it? So Huntley will be the quarterback of choice for Baltimore at home. Catching 4 points, obviously, look, it's not the starter. Baltimore has nothing to play for. They might not even have their starters in after the first quarter. This we do not know. What I do know is the line that I put up at the Book of Baldini's. The Pittsburgh Steelers now 4 points favorite, the total 35. Randy, you first.
Well, obviously the last 6 weeks, you got to put the Steelers in there and what Tomlin has done to turn this team around. Obviously, to have a chance, you got 4 teams in the AFC that are 9-7. The interesting thing, which I find here, on the road, the Steelers are a 4-point favorite.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, Huntley is a very, very good quarterback. So has Tomlin turned this team around to win by more than a field goal on the road? That scares me, even with the Ravens benching some people.
Catching 4 then.
Yeah.
Nick?
I'm going to go the other way. I mean, I like the Steelers. Again, they're playing to play to keep their season going. Yes. So obviously we know Lamar is out. Again, like I said, you take him out of the equation. I think the Ravens are a completely different team. Still a little concerns on the defensive side if they're still going to, what are they doing with that D-line kind of a thing. But I like the Steelers getting 4 on this one. I think that they can cover that. So.
And those of you listening at home, watching at home, this is the beautiful setup. This is how you want every episode to set up as a bookmaker. You want them on opposite sides. Of course we do.
But, the other interesting point here, Rob, and you really got to put this in perspective. The Steelers, as great as this franchise has been, has only had 3 head coaches. And what Mike Tomlin does in December on is amazing. The guy is a very good football coach. And, again, I got to give him credit because at the midpoint in the season, you'd have said they're not going to the playoffs.
No way.
The other interesting comment I wanted to bring up is you got a little heat in the locker room. Kenny Pickett, I believe this week, said he wasn't going to dress as of yesterday. If he wasn't going to be the starter, he wasn't going to dress. I don't know if you've got any more info on that. But you don't want to have some dissension in the locker room when you're vying for that playoff spot.
Yeah. I love your abstract handicapping. It literally comes out of nowhere, and yet you're actually going to put real USD on a game based off of that stat.
Well, it comes up the Wike 3000 computer program.
Again, you got a leader of your offense.
He's a leader of men, yes.
Now, did he not make that statement?
Yes, he did.
So now that's got to go back into the locker room. I'm old school. I believe what comes out of that locker room on the field is how you play.
I can't wait to track your record this year.
I'm
not going to do it this week.
I want you to track
it. No, but for the playoffs, I'm tracking your record every week, every episode. So the next episode that we do the playoff selections, you'll have 10 picks all the way to the Super Bowl, minimum. Your record will go up.
Now, seriously, is that not a viable concern to you?
Absolutely not. From a betting perspective, no.
Well, that's obviously why you made the line 4
and that's
points.
why you're there, and I'm on this side.
Okay. I'll end it with that.
So, like you said, I mean, the Steelers need some help. If they win this game, they got a 66% chance of making the playoffs. If they lose the game, they still have a chance, but I think it goes down to about 12%.
Right, and so how do we actually come up with that number? You're absolutely right, Nick. Steelers will have they're in for the wild card with a win, and the Dolphins win, or a win and the Titans win. They can also make the wild card with a loss and a Titans win and a Broncos win. So, like I said, they need help. They've got to win this game, right? So let's put that aside, and then the rest will, ultimately.
So you
play
have the
itself
Steelers
out.
in the playoffs.
I think that I don't know if they'll make it to the playoffs. I think that they will cover this game because they still need some help, even if they win.
Well, exactly, and then we'll get to the other game because obviously the Texans-Colts game probably has the biggest to lose and win.
That's the game of the week. We're going to get to that after this one. I can't believe that I'm actually using the next game as the warm-up act to that one that you just mentioned, which is the Colts and the Texans. It's the Bills and Dolphins, right? So Bills and Dolphins, of course, this game is on Sunday, the last game of the week. Buffalo, a 3-point favorite. Wouldn't be too shocked if it's going to move its way off that number, if it hasn't already by the time you're listening to this. By off, I mean shorter, so we're probably going to see some 2.5s out there. So let's just go for the sake of this recording. Let's just make Buffalo 2.5. The total 49. Nick, you first.
I think Bills win by 3. So 2.5, I take it. 3, I'm not touching the game.
Perfect. Obviously, this game is for the winner of the AFC East division and all that comes with it. And so that will obviously play into everything that is into this playoff. Quite a significant line move. We actually had Miami open up as a 1-point favorite until the results came out and we realized exactly what Week 18 is going to be. So, Nick, grabbing points here. Randy.
Well, I actually, at the beginning of the week, had the Dolphins as one of my upset plays. Dolphins embarrassed last week. Going home, big game. I really like them. And then Chubb going down saying basically he's done. To me, that's a big, big player on defense, especially tackles for loss and playing havoc with the quarterback. I actually like the Bills here, and again, to the point of a field goal game. But the Dolphins were embarrassed last week, and at the beginning of the week, I had them. But with Chubb out,
I just feel like the Dolphins have lost all momentum. Like, I mean, if you'd asked me where the Dolphins would be Week 8, they were kind of my AFC front runner.
Yes.
And then they just keep finding ways to lose these key games, and
Now, did we find out, again, little gossip news, Tyreek Hill, his house burnt, right?
Yeah, there was a fire at his
day
house
before
yesterday, and I don't know all the details about it.
So, again, will that be on his mind? See, all these little things I'm looking at this last week of the season, because I think that puts the mental aspect into play. And, again, these are professional players. They're not kids, but I still think that weighs on a player's mind.
Good or bad? Since we're talking abstracts now.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Because the line moved. Did the line move because his house burned down?
I'm not going to say that because it went the other way. But I do believe Chubb is going to play. Having the loss of Chubb is going to play vital.
No, that will definitely play into it without a doubt. He's a very significant piece of the defense.
And you got to believe Josh Allen right now, all the bad things that were said about him the first 8-9 weeks of the season, he's out there.
So let me ask you this. If the Bills lose this game, and even if they lose this game, they still have a path to make it into the playoffs. But let's say they lose this game and the stars align and they miss the playoffs. Is Josh Allen the starter next year at Buffalo, or is it time for them to move on?
That's a fabulous question. I already have my answer, but Randy, you first.
Absolutely he's there. What's he got? He's got 40 touchdown passes? Absolutely he's there. Absolutely.
I like the little flare that you want to light there, though. That does make sense. I could see. I mean, at some point, you got to figure out, is this your guy?
Talented? Yes, but I mean, at the end of the day, you play football to win Super Bowl, and it just really hasn't come to fruition. I mean, if you are a true Buffalo fan, my heart goes out to you because, I mean, that's a true fan, especially back in the 90s.
Well, they light themselves on fire now. They throw themselves through tables.
They find a way to lose, and I think the Buffalo fans, the Bills Mafia, so to speak, they just won a Super Bowl.
Well, and again, looking back, and here we go again at what opponents have said about him. He is a bull to bring down when he's running. His arm strength. And again, it's that mental psyche. I really believe when you're in a rut, you stay in a rut. Mm-hmm. But you have to be able to bring yourself out of it. And again, this kid has unbelievable talent. It's just, I think, unfortunate from the standpoint, Diggs is his primary receiver. And if you got some little things going on there and he can't get the ball to him, who else gets the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the deal. They need another wideout that can really take the pressure off, especially when Diggs is double teamed.
I don't think we're 15 minutes into this episode, Randy. That's your third bullet point on abstract ideas. Have you been studying like Buddhism or like Rasta?
I'm
Are you?
telling you.
How's the chi?
Huh? Well, I don't know. It could have been the fish oil.
That's what it is. You see? Yaves? Okay. The game of the week is actually still in the AFC. This one is for everything. It is a matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. The winner is in. The winner also could win the division if Jacksonville loses. I don't need to worry about that. The obvious, most important thing here is win and you're in. This game has been a lot of fun booking all week. We opened up Houston as a 1-point dog on the road at Indianapolis, and now they're a 1-point favorite. The total 47.5 at the Book of Baldini's. Randy, you first.
The over. The over, I believe, in this game is the number one play of all the NFL games. I have the Texans winning 31-27. I think this is a game that's going to be explosive from the start. And even though the Colts are at home, I have the Texans winning this one.
I'm going to save this segment for where the bookie was wrong, but it looks like you're jumping right out with the total right there. Nick, not really seeing much in terms of the injury report on this game. I mean, obviously, there's the injuries that have been accrued from Houston and Indianapolis across the entire season, but nothing that's super duper fresh. As a matter of fact, we know we're going to see Taylor at running back for the Colts. I mean, Stroud is, pretty much ready to go. Any other direction here that you want to go?
I'm with Randy. I like the Texans winning this one outright. But I do think that this is going to be just because of the severity of the game, you're going to see a lot more time management, ball control, that kind of thing. So I kind of like the under a little bit on this game, but definitely Texans.
Turnovers will play a part, I believe, very much so in this game.
This is obviously, look, it's our first episode of the season, and I can't tell you how happy I am right now. I have one going over the total. I have the other going under. I can't lose today. This is fantastic, everybody. I'm telling you, I could just end the episode right now. We don't even have to go any further. However, we still have the NFC to cover, gentlemen, and so why don't we go ahead and shift gears on over to that side of the docket, and let's go start with, well, obviously with Tampa losing in Week 17, suddenly the Saints or the Falcons can still somehow win the NFC South. Green Bay obviously has put themselves in very good control for a wild card spot. Dallas and Philly, if either one of them win, obviously the Cowboys would win the NFC East and the number 2 seed. Really not much really that's very concerning to me here in terms of a playoff spot. But look, football games are football games. We know that we're going to have some clear competition for a spot here. Why don't we just take a quick peek here? Obviously, look, one team's packed it in. The other one is very much in need of a win here.
Well, and Rob, the interesting point here with the NFC is you have 4 teams that are 8-8. So at an 8-8 record, you got 4 teams still eligible for a chance at the playoffs. So again, NFC's a little bit different. And again, from the play standpoint of whether guys are going to sit or they're going to play, there's some good games in that NFC.
So how do we want to parse this out? NFC completely different. You're absolutely right. 4 teams here, all at an equal record. They all need wins. So let's put them all in a fine little basket, and let's see what actually gets picked out first. Randy, Tampa at Carolina, obviously they're a 4.5-point favorite on the road. They need that win. Green Bay, like I said, they're in control of their spot at 8-8. They're hosting Chicago. Chicago, by the way, sneaky good season at 7-9. I mean, I look, it's not a 500 year, but no one really thought they were going to get to this level of, I guess, excellence. At least from their perspective. Atlanta 7-9, the Saints 8-8. So that Falcons-Saints game, let's start right there. The Saints at home, a 3-point favorite. Some places 3.5, depending on how you shop it around. This one clearly for a very significant playoff spot. The other one goes home. Carr going to take this, Nick?
No.
Okay. From a cover perspective, they get the win.
No.
The Falcons win.
I like the Falcons in this
Okay.
one.
So Atlanta, a vote for Atlanta. Tampa pick up the win in Carolina.
Yes. I like Bucks by 7 in that one.
Finally, Green Bay picks up the win over Chicago.
No, I like the Bears. I take the Bears money line in this.
Okay, so that is significant because you're knocking Green Bay out of their catbird seat, and then it's a matter of the matchup.
Yeah.
It's Atlanta or Tampa, and that's actually what we're going to have to break down and just see how those games play out. Randy, let's start off, I guess, in reverse. Does Green Bay pick up the win, and we could wrap up this conversation?
And you know my belief. I really do believe home teams are worth a field goal, especially as you get later in the season. Home teams, to me, are worth a field goal. So, technically, we have the Bears-Packers game at a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Fields has been playing very well since the heat was on him. Packers, though, I'm telling you, this defense will come to play this week. I like the under in this game. I like the Packers. I like the Buccaneers, although Baker Mayfield should go back to Oklahoma or a college team for one more year. You talk about a guy up and down the whole season, and he has definitely got Tampa Bay to this point.
It's a comeback player of the year, Randy.
They will win. They will cover that spread on the road, which I don't usually like road teams. The Saints, oh my Lord. Derek Carr can look so bad one week. And granted, Kamara looked really good last week. They did some things. Tyson Hill obviously is, to me, is their pivotal player on that team. But I would bet the Saints. You don't know what you're getting when they take the field.
Everything I've seen with Carr, anytime that there's a must-win game, he loses. So that's basically my only reason for taking the Falcons over the Saints, because I know when the pressure's on, Carr crumbles.
Now,
literally.
I will tell you this: the Superdome will be rocking.
Mm-hmm.
It will be rocking. And again, you've got to believe that the Saints are a half-point favorite anyway, whether they were on the road or a neutral site. So you have to give them the edge, but I would not bet on Derek Carr.
I just keep realizing that I should have literally told Chris to just stop rolling because I had you going against each other every single pick up until the Saints right there. That's all. I'm just making a mental note here. I'm just booking action.
I will
right
take
now.
the Saints.
Right.
He's going Falcons.
Exactly.
I'll take the Saints because they're at home.
Sticking with the Falcons.
And I'm telling you, a three-team parlays. Again, you got to really watch the games this week. Who's playing, who's not. 3-team parlay. You can clean house this week.
Can you please, for the record, call out the teams on your 3-team parlay?
Do you want me to call it out
Yes,
right now?
right now,
Or
yes.
do you want me to call it out?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go the Cardinals in an upset.
I like that as well.
I am going to go the Eagles, even though a lot of people like the Giants. I think the Eagles are mad. And I'm going the Texans. My 3-team parlay, which is a little different than going with all the big faves. But
You're not going to throw anything else on there?
I think the Arizona Cardinals are catching the Seahawks when the Seahawks are really down.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't played well the last couple of weeks.
We haven't even talked about them. Seattle's live for a playoff spot, and you're saying they're going to lose in Arizona.
I think that team
I think
is
Arizona's
down.
on fire right now.
This is fabulous. You know, Randy, I didn't even
So
ask
you
for this.
can come after me next week now with this.
I didn't even ask for this, and you're
Yeah.
just laying this out for
I
us.
am.
Arizona is plus a quarter at home as a dog to Seattle, who needs this for everything, for their entire season.
You're
and
absolutely
you're knocking
correct.
them out of the playoffs right there. So Randy's 3-team parlay. 3-team parlay. Forget about hitting a straight bet.
Yeah.
He's giving you a parlay right now. The
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals at plus a nickel.
Yeah.
Plus 125. The Eagles laying 5, right? Obviously, you like them because no need to go money line there. And then, as you mentioned, the aforementioned Houston Texans laying the 1. Nick, I don't know how you could top that. I'm not even going to ask you to top that because it's so. He's
out
all
there.
over the. I can't
It's
even.
fish
I
oil.
can't control him.
It's
I
fish
can't
oil.
control him
Fish
today.
oil.
Where did the bookie go wrong, Nick?
I would say in your Seahawks Cardinals game, I like the Cardinals winning outright. I think the Cardinals are on a roll right now. I mean, Murray being back.
Yes.
And in kind of the way that I think about the Bears Packers, I mean, the Cardinals, all they're playing for in this game is to knock Seattle out of the playoffs. I think there would be nothing happier if you're a Cardinals player knowing that you just ended their season. So I think that's what
Division
they're playing for
game
this
makes
week.
sense.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I could
So,
digest that. Not drinking the what have you done for me lately Kool-Aid, though, right?
No.
You're just simply saying that they're put it all together. It took them 17 weeks, but the Cardinals put it all together.
I think they're on a roll right now, but they'll find a way to mess it up come next season. I have faith.
You know, I guess we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, but I want to come back to it because I just noticed that Chicago is in fact 7-9, but it doesn't matter because their general manager managed to do quite the fleece job in getting draft picks. Carolina, with their worst record ever, ended up giving up their first overall pick in this year's draft. It now belongs to Chicago. So I asked
and
you,
a nice
gentlemen,
little thing with the GM, right? Or the owner, excuse me, the owner.
Oh, that's a him problem. No, we're talking about Chicago right now. The Chicago Bears get the number 1 overall pick thanks to Carolina. Right? Even though they have that 7-9 record, they are loaded with draft picks this year. So I present to you this once again, gentlemen: Caleb Williams, Drake May, or other. Nick,
Build a line that could defend,
hasn't
that could
changed.
protect your quarterback. If you don't have protection, you can be Tom Brady, and it's not going to matter. I mean, and I think we've seen moments from Fields where he looks great. We've seen some rookie moments where he's made mistakes, but everything I see, I mean, the guy's got no time to assess the field. I mean, he's dropped back in the pocket, and then he's got 2 guys in his face. So spend your draft picks, build an offensive line that can block your franchise quarterback, and maybe next year you can do something. I mean, I think they've shown they have the talent, even right now.
7 wins says it, and they look like a motley crew of players, that's for sure.
And look at some of their wins, I guess. I think we're some pretty big teams, too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I'm back to the point where if you do draft a Drake May or a Caleb Williams, you're 2 to 3 years out on these guys. I don't think the Bears want to look for the future. The Bears want to win now. So if they did anything, they would trade. But back to your point, if you're going to go in the draft, you try to beef up that offensive line.
Hinting at trading the pick for an established quarterback?
That
Randy?
would be the only thing that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Trade for an established quarterback and beef up that line in the draft.
This is good. I've got like some real it has to be the fish oil today.
It does.
I'm getting some really robust conversations out of you today. Well, that was awesome. I think that if we just take a look right now, we know who's in, right? We know that there's a chance that some other players, entering to the fray of the playoffs after, this coming weekend. But right now, I'm going to, how do I position this? Because I know what you're going to say, and I think I know what you're going to say. So let me go ahead and I'm going to make it difficult for the both of you. Nick, give me your AFC champion now.
The Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns might even take the Super Bowl this year. I think they're kind of sneaking in. They got, talk about comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco. I mean, I just have a feeling about the Browns.
And something, Nick, that cost you nothing. That is absolutely just a very easy, no pressure. I can't hold it against you. If they lose, look.
Well, look at some of the teams that the Browns have beat. I mean, they've beat some pretty big names, and not to mention if you're a Browns fan, talk about a tough season. I mean, how many quarterbacks? And you got Chubb that went out, and he's probably never.
What is the odds of the Browns winning the AFC?
You know what? I'm actually going to stop it right here, Nick. If the Cleveland Browns make it to the AFC Championship game, I will I will tip my cap to you. That was an incredible pick. I'm going to make it difficult on you as well because I know who you want to say. So I'm also going to have you make a pick for the AFC champion.
Baltimore Ravens, if they control the home field advantage.
Which they do.
Mm-hmm. I just think they're at home. This is not a place you want to go to. And again, I'm still back to the point which we've discussed every week. Kansas City Chiefs, what is wrong with this team? And, I watched Kelsey last week, and he's starting to show his age. So if you look at the teams, and even Buffalo, if you have to go on the road, even if it's for one game, Baltimore's, other than Cleveland, Baltimore's not a place you want to play.
Everybody at home, listening in, watching in, I'm thrilled. I'm actually spent. I actually feel like I'm even sweating. That was so much content that I don't even know how to handle it. I'm really pleased that you all got to join us here once again for the start of our season. There's lots of you to parse out and take home back with you as you take a look at your picks. Clearly, there's much to break down as we look into Week 18 and, of course, into the playoffs. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. Nick, Randy.
Oh, by the way, send a letter to the NCAA. Eliminate some bowl games. Ugly this year. Ugly.
And that's all the time we have.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.